everybody. Welcome to this new section of the channel of the podcast. It's called The Daily Dose, and I'm just going to be giving you a quick little recap of what happened during the day. These episodes will be shorter than the weekly wrap episodes that'll come out weekly on Saturdays. These will just be after the market closes, just kind of a quick recap of what happened that day, what the markets are looking like, and where we might be headed tomorrow. So let's just jump right in. I won't waste too much of your time today. So the stocks fell today. Earnings season is coming. We're waiting on some inflation data. So a lot of the articles today surrounding the markets were just that investors are jittery. Obviously, you always have to be careful reading the headlines because they're mainly for clicks and might not be swaying you in the right direction. But in general, we saw a trend continue to the downside today. As you see on the side of my screen here, the S&P was down just over 1%. The Dow Jones was down 0.5%. The NASDAQ tech stocks were really suffering, and I think a lot of it has to do with the earnings reports that are coming up and worries surrounding that. So U.S. stocks tumbled on Monday, led by sharp losses in technology companies, as I just mentioned. The NASDAQ was the leader in the losses. Crypto, it was still down today, but wasn't as down as the stock market. So, as you see, the euro is sliding. We got close to parity with the dollar, and it's the closest it's been in a long time. So that's an interesting story that we'll keep following as well. Maybe we'll put that in the weekly wrap this weekend as well. So. You see on the stock market now, we're really teetering close on bear market territory. You see the NASDAQ is already there, down 27%. The Dow Jones and the S&P aren't quite there. The S&P is right on the border once again. We're just right there on the border of bear market territory, down 19.13% year to date. So also interesting just to keep in mind as we progress through the week here if we do see deeper losses. Some other things that happened today. Twitter's in focus. We mentioned that this weekend. That was in the weekend wrap. If you haven't seen it, make sure you go watch that or listen to it if you're listening on the podcast side. Oil prices fell as well. That's good for inflation, but we'll have to see where that goes. Let's take a look here. So some stocks that were on the move today. Twitter fell another 6.1%. We mentioned that in the weekly wrap as well. A lot of uncertainty there with Elon Musk and some executives and management. So Meta Platforms, another tech company, down 4% today as they received a downgrade by Needham and Company. Meta's really been struggling recently, so that's another one that was down today. And then we saw Uber down 3.4%, following reports that the ride-hailing company attempted to lobby petitions, including French President Emmanuel Macron, and defied certain laws in efforts to expand its operations globally from 2013 to 2017. The so-called Uber files, reported by The Guardian and French newspaper Le Monde, is based on more than 124,000 documents leaked to the outlets, revealing ethically questionable practices that powered the company rise under co-founder Travis Kalanick. So Uber facing some heat in the news today, and the stock price suffered. That'll be interesting to keep an eye on. Uber has faced a lot of heat in recent years over some of their ethical situations. So American Airlines was down a little over 4%. Duolingo was down 13% after a downgrade on the stock by KeyBank analyst Justin Patterson. And that was downgraded due to headwinds from inflation and signs of softness in other freemium apps. And they go on to say that that's a business model in which consumers pay nothing to download the application but are offered optional in-app purchases. So you see in like tough times like we're in now, that kind of discretionary spending, in-app purchases would fall under discretionary spending. Those start to slow down. So downgraded due to that. And the stock suffered today, 13% down. And Match Group fell 7%. That was downgraded. The price target at KeyBank went from $125 to $90. But they reiterated their overweight rating on the stock. But shares suffered anyway. So let's just look at this chart here quickly to see what happened today in the S&P 500. You saw we We fell sharply at the open. In the morning we were sideways, and then in the afternoon we saw some buying up to the top of where we closed out on Friday last week, and then we sold off. So maybe we'll see more selling this week. We'll have to keep an eye on that. But that'll do it. We saw some selling pressure today. We'll have to see if that trend continues throughout the week. Thank you for joining me on this first episode of the Daily Dose. Again, these will be coming out every single business day where business is open, where the markets are open. Thank you for joining me, and have a great week.